Hey guys, Julia here. Happy New Year. I'm back at it today. First video of the year. Yay. But we're going to be flipping through the journals I used in 2021. If you're new here, I actually don't switch journals until they're full. So we're going to be looking at the 2021 spreads and this first journal, even though there are some 2020 spreads in here from November and December. But yeah, you can see that they're pretty fat, which of course we love. And then the journal I'm actually still in for a couple more months, as you can see, isn't quite full just yet, but we'll look at the 2021 spreads in there. But of course, let's start with this one. It's an A5 Archer and Olive journal with a linen cover. This one has 192 pages, which is a little thicker than the typical 160-page journals. I like to have my tabs here on the outside for quick reference, and they've obviously held up really well. I'll link those in the description if you're interested in them. But flipping into the 2021 section, we have the cover page here, and this setup is actually like my most viewed video here on YouTube, which is bananas. But overall, I still love the look of this and enjoyed getting to utilize some scrap paper and stationery to put this all together. Next up is the photo spread, which goes up through June 2021. And I feel like I always say this, but these spreads are always just so fun to look back on. Definitely one of my favorite yearly spreads. And since this was my first time using a 192 journal, I didn't know how many months I was going to be able to fit in here. So we have all of the months for the photos, and I obviously did not get to use them all. But here's an idea I really didn't bring forward, but this was a spot for theme doodles for each month. I feel like in theory, I wanted to fill these in like in the Plan With Me videos, but it just became a drag to do, usually way after the fact because I forgot about this page most of the time. The future log here is where I was like, yeah, I need some planning space for months even outside of the year, because when it gets closer to the end of the year, you'll inevitably have future dates. So yeah, I was already trying to workshop in my head how that would look like. We have some trackers here, and RIP to my books to read tracker. I actually abandoned this pretty quickly in the year because I started a separate reading journal that I hope to show you guys here soon. It's very bare bones, I think, for the casual, laid back, maybe even like a slow reader like myself. And this is the yearly focus page and travel diary things. We're still pretty shut down for us here, so there's not too much going on. We weren't really traveling too much for work just yet. Okay, and then we get into January, which was a vinyl records theme. I still really like how this one turned out and really like this mix of bold and dainty as far as the illustration styles go. And the color story was really fun to work with for this one. I actually don't really use mood trackers anymore, but this one is still super satisfying to look at and is probably my favorite. I decided to not really use mood trackers in this way anymore because it felt unnecessary for me personally, like without any context. So I ended up moving like a little mood indicator over to my reflections journal instead. And in there, I can get a little more information about why I was feeling a certain way on a certain day. So that change has been, I don't know, just a little more useful for me. Here's another change I've made that's interesting to see here, the focus check-in. I obviously have it on the weekly spread here, but I now check in on those once a month because I thought it was a little bit overkill to do it every week. Okay, I promise I'm not going to talk about every spread because this video could get really long, really fast, but this was just a spread I tried out randomly, just a page for quickie tasks. So when I had a little time to kill before like a meeting or a dance class, or just those little pockets of time where I'm waiting on something to happen, I could just flip to this and find a little productive something to do that my future self would be thankful for. But yeah, I have some things here. And then on the other side, I tried out some ideal morning and night routines. Did this for a little bit. It was nice. And then I just kind of didn't. But yeah, really like this spread. Got to use my sticker for this one, which we love. And yeah. Okay, then we're on to February, and this is the bubblegum theme, which I'm still loving this lettering and the weird little cutout on top. I worked a lot with the faux watercolor technique for this one and just had a little fun working in a more monochromatic space. I do believe the theme idea came from like National Bubblegum Day, which I now remember nothing about. I think it had something to do like it's a day where kids in school are allowed to chew gum in class and they buy it from their teachers and the money goes to like a charity or something. Could be totally wrong, but it seems to ring a bell. And we are not in love with this monthly spread. This is where I pretty much decided that the larger grid calendars are just where it's at for me. I tried this smaller calendar, added some important dates along the bottom, and yeah, no. It doesn't give me the same month at a glance overview that I like to have. And then if like new dates came up, I would have to add them at the end of the list and then they wouldn't be in order, just no. And then my focus check-in lived over here this month since I had the extra space. This is where I also started experimenting with the flip up sections in those busier weeks, but instead we have a flip down situation, which actually wasn't the best idea because the bottom would just be dangling down there and hard to write on, but the wheels were definitely starting to turn there on how to get more planning space in a spread without making a Dutch door and losing a page. Another random spread here, the left is when I got 1,000 followers on Instagram, and on the right, I was participating in the Black and Bujo prompts, and this is a Black history type of spread on the wonderful graphic designer Gail Anderson. She was the senior art director for Rolling Stone magazine and specializes in just this lovely conceptual typography. So I just have a quote from her here along with some of her work. This is another Black and Bujo prompt spread, and it's just a spread about myself. It's just some quick facts about me when I started bullet journaling, some of my current favorites, likes, dislikes, and it was just neat to document that in here, and I'm sure it'll be fun to look back on years down the line. And we're into March, and I love this theme so much. I think it was pretty popular with you guys as well, but it's a time theme because during this time, it just felt like I was waiting for time to feel real again, waiting on things to get back to normal, and I just thought clocks and the visual concept of time would be fitting for this one. This habit tracker though, love this whole circular tracker I made. I definitely should revisit this style of tracker in the future. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, but I have to say something about this one really quickly. This spread was to commemorate my 2-year Curly Girl milestone. I did something similar last year, but I just printed photos of the products, if I remember correctly. So I actually did little doodles of my favorite products and tools this time around, and I followed my friend Timmy's tutorial on these foil balloons. I'll link her channel down below, but I just practiced it on a separate piece of paper to see if I could do it. I liked how it turned out and didn't trust myself to draw it again, so I ripped it up and pasted it in here. I've always had this like strange fear of drawing the same thing twice. That's probably super weird, but yeah. And this is a spring cleaning spread. I honestly just love all the illustrations for this month. Ooh, and bam, here's the first flip up. Here is where I hacked the system, adding more planning space in a weekly spread without losing a page in the journal. You'll definitely see more of these from here on out. On to April, which was the Baby Ducks theme from the regular show. This one didn't do as well if we're talking like YouTube numbers or whatever, but it's somewhat of an obscure theme and reference, but I still really love this theme. Super bright, colorful, feels springtime, it makes me happy. So yeah, I experimented with a double flip notes page, and other than that, pretty straightforward weekly spreads for this one. And then we're into May, which I actually used a random theme generator, and it gave me 3 words that decided my theme, and the words I got were lantern, petal, and dew. So I put those together and bam, you've got this theme. But yeah, I like this little weird Dutch door, and really the whole theme came out really delicate and soft and feminine, and it's just made me happy overall. Oh, I guess I do need to say that I will leave a playlist of all of these setups down in the description if you're newer here and want to dive into any of these themes a little more, get some inspiration for your journal for this year, all that jazz. I got you. This theme actually had some interesting plot points. I do believe tattoo ink was used. So yeah, definitely check out the Plan With Me videos if you haven't seen it. But we're getting into June, which is a sailboat theme, and for whatever reason, this one sort of blew up over on Pinterest, which is pretty awesome, but I went with this theme because we're at this point about to go on a trip to Belize in July, and the summer beach vibes, all of that. But yeah, I really like how graphic this turned out, and this sort of neon sign Miami style lettering was a favorite of mine as well. Yep. Favorite little illustration for this month was definitely this overhead view of the sailboats on the ocean with this pool-like pattern in the water for this like overall surrealism vibe. Also really enjoy this Captain Will illustration. Okay, and this spread was fun. It was my birthday week spread, so I had to do something a little special. I have some tabs here with photos from my birthday. We went to Carlsbad Caverns here in New Mexico, but if you open this up, I have the week's events here in this middle tab, and then flipping it over one more time, there's another daily event section and a notes section. And then I did this really wonderful gouache class on Skillshare. Loved the result. Loved how it sort of went with my theme here. So I just sort of stuck it in the back, and it was the perfect backdrop for this weekly spread and a fun way to end off the last month in this journal. So flipping over, the next spread was to commemorate Black and Bujo's 1-year anniversary. I made some stickers for the occasion, and we did a fun little live over on Instagram just talking about bullet journaling and sticker shops. This is Marsha from Do You Salute, Kate from Stick With Kate, and Timmy Danzo. And yeah, it was a good time. I never finished the spread, but I was just really honored to be a part of this group. And then during the summer, I was a part of a circle Discord. So I wrote about my experience there, wrote about all the players I had the joy to meet while in there. This whole experience was just really chaotic and messy and dramatic, but it was just so much fun that I just had to commemorate the experience. I also got booted pretty early, and then I was like able to come back secretly into the game. But I had to be someone else. So I wrote about my 2 personas and the finale and all of that. And then this is the spread I attempted to use while I actually played the game. I couldn't really keep up with everything in there, really. So this became pretty obsolete pretty quickly. So getting to the end of this one, I have a Belize packing list spread along with some last minute to-dos before the trip, some video ideas and goals back here, and then my grid spacing guide that I use as a reference on how to split up spreads. With these back spreads, I sometimes work from the back of the journal up. If they're just random spreads, I don't want to throw them in the monthly mix. I started doing that a little later in the game, but I really like doing that because it just makes these sort of spreads easier to find, and it keeps the flow of the journal a little better in my opinion. But yeah, in the very back, I have some stickers. A lot of them are ones I've made, some random paper scraps in the flap, and that's pretty much it for this first half of 2021. For the second half, I went back to a larger B5 journal just because I do like to have a bit more planning space, so I went with this one. Opening it up, I do have a key right on the inside cover, also a master project list key, which I don't even use anymore, so I'm not going to explain that. But yeah, I like to keep the same theme for the year, even though I do switch up journals. There are just some little cheeky differences so it doesn't get stale, but it's more like a refresh here, the same but different, if you will. Here is the photo spread. I didn't want to put anything on December just yet because I filmed this overhead literally the day before we went to Poland, and I knew I wanted to probably have something from that trip go there, so that's why that's blank, but you get the idea. I do love these little extra blocks on this spread for any extra photos I want to add throughout the year. For the future log, pretty much business as usual here. I did add little blocks to notate the different themes, but instead of doodling something from each theme, I just printed little photos of the cover pages for that quick reference. And after those few yearly spreads, we're into July, which was like, honestly, like, I love this theme. It just feels so me, and it's really so funny because it was inspired by something that someone else drew for me without really knowing me. It's an interesting story, so check out that Plan With Me video for sure. But yeah, I had a blast with this theme, and I was blown away by the few recreations for this one that I saw as well. Hands down, this is my favorite notes page ever. I remember it taking a while to complete, but I think it just, made a bold impact. And then this is a memory keeping spread for our trip to Belize. I just placed some photos around the border, added in some of the activities we did while there and the restaurants we ate at so I could later recommend them to friends that maybe want to visit as well. Loved how the spread turned out. Okay, coming up on August, which is the creamsicle shop theme. I honestly don't remember why I went with this theme, probably end of summer vibes, and I actually love creamsicles, but yeah, you guys seem to really like this one as well. I definitely enjoyed the color palette for this and mixing in the craft paper. I also really just love this pattern I used on the cover page and throughout some of the weekly spreads. I showed you how I made this on my iPad, and I do believe there's a free printable of this in that Plan With Me video, so definitely check that out if you want to recreate this one for 2022. Really love this monthly spread, and here I started to do these little cutaway Dutch doors, which has been a constant thing since. It just cuts down a little bit of the setup time and still gives both this page and the next page a little something. The September theme was the White Sands National Park theme, and I was all up into gouache this month. I had such a good time with this theme. I personally love the gradients and the overall softness of everything. Plus, I think this sticker set was my absolute favorite of the year, whole year. You'll see me use a lot of the stickers, lots of the printables of this cover page throughout the theme to tie everything together without having to do a whole ass painting on every page. And then we're into October, which was the Beetlejuice Vibes theme. And this one was really fun because I ended up playing a lot with that black and white contrast, doing more blackout spreads, which honestly scares me a lot of the time. But yeah, also, the lettering on this one was really fun. It has those Nightmare Before Christmas vibes. I just loved it. And oh yeah, on the monthly page, I got to utilize purple dot grid paper, which actually turned out super cool. And I think it added a lot to this spread overall. We have that little monthly spread Dutch action here that opens up to the blackout night log. Probably my favorite night log, honestly. Okay, we're getting there. A little more recent. Here is the November Small Business Storefronts theme with a little gouache storefront on the cover page. I still love the 1121 address on there, and then the thank you bag motif on the right. But yeah, for this one, we had those long tabs for those initial monthly pages, and I definitely think this was a super cute theme. The tabs honestly had a hard time laying flat, but it wasn't too annoying. And overall, it was worth it. Okay, the notes overload with this spread. I obviously didn't give myself enough room, but it's hard to know how much note space I'm going to need in any particular month. I think I could have fixed this up by adding a little flip up or something, but post-it notes it was. But I love, love, love this little chalkboard drawing down here for the notes. Super cute. And then the last monthly theme for 2021 is the dark and sexy Krampus theme. I was super stoked about this theme, and it seemed like a lot of you were as well. I love Love a good dark theme, and this one had very Eastern European vibes, which was perfect since that's where we spent the holiday season this year. I did employ some different strategies with this one, using color pencil and metallic watercolors for the gold, and even some gouache for the teal accents here and there. And then here's how my gift tracker turned out, and then below the countdown to the trip. This was definitely fun to watch fill up. Highly recommend if you're counting down to an event or holiday. It definitely works out to build up some hype. Okay, so I only had like 1.5 weekly spreads for December since I didn't take my journal with me, but after those, these are sort of my wrap-up spreads for the year. Over here is my focus wrap-up, so I looked back on all of my check-ins and rounded up some significant progress in all of the 4 focus areas I wanted to work within for the year. And it's crazy to look at this when you maybe feel like you didn't accomplish a lot in a year and just see all of the progress, all of the steps made towards the things that you care about. So yeah, love doing this focus section all year, and I'm bringing it with me in 2022. And then I am just crazy about music, so I had to do a little music wrap-up page with my favorite albums released this year. So I have the album artwork for these printed out, and then for each one I have the release date and then some of my favorite tracks from the album. Down along the bottom, I have a little section for my Spotify Wrapped, which is just like my top artist, top song, genre, and top podcast. This is another page that I think will be super fun to look back on years down the line. But after that page, it just goes straight into 2022. I do have the setup video for that up on the channel, as well as the January setup in this same journal, so be sure to check out those if you want to see more from me. There are actually a few spreads in the back, but we'll wait for the 2022 flip through for those. But yeah, that's going to do it for my 2021 spreads. I hope you have enjoyed taking a look at my journal for this past year, well, my journals. I'm super pleased with where I'm going with my bullet journaling journey in like 3 years at this point. I'm still learning, I'm still changing things up. So if you're new to bullet journaling, just keep experimenting and really never stop learning and growing and making things work for you, because that's kind of the beauty of the system. We are saying goodbye to this A5 journal. It's going on a shelf with the rest of my retired journals, but you'll see this one again in another flip through and for one more monthly setup. But yeah, be sure to subscribe so you can keep planning along with me. Check out my Patreon for monthly sticker sets and monthly flip through videos where I go a little bit more into detail with the planning systems I use. But yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know what your favorite theme was for 2021, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. And if you liked this video, here are a couple more I think you would enjoy.